Hello, welcome back to my channel. So let's continue the Civil Procedure Cold Call preparation. And today's case, we're going to study Trivedi versus Cooper. Citation of this case. The court is United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, and judge is Dennis Colt. The day is 1996. The two parties, the plaintiff, Trivedi, and defendant is Cooper. Procedure posture. So what happened in this case? This is the district court. So this is the district court case. And defendant Cooper filed judgment as a matter of law under Rule 50 and also motion for a new trial under Rule 59A. And plaintiff argued that both motions were untimely filed. And the jury's verdict was proper. And he was entitled to back pay as part of the relief. The court denied the motion for judgment as a matter of law, but the court granted the remainder to reduce compensation from $700,000 to $50,000. The facts about this case is Trivedi was an East Asian Indian, was employed under Cooper as a research scientist. And Trivedi claimed Cooper discriminated him against the race or national origin, failed to promote him, and also retaliate against him on several occasions. And Cooper contended that Trivedi has mental illness and unfit for promotion. There was no discriminatory motive. Trivedi presented no expert witness, and defendant Cooper had several expert witnesses. And the jury verdict favored Trivedi at the end. And Trivedi will have $700,000 compensatory damages and back pay for the failure to promote and $1 nominal damages for retaliation. And then the court's analysis will be based on whether the motion for the matter of law is appropriate or whether the damages were equitably computed. The issue for this case is whether the district court should grant judgment as a matter of law under Rule 50B or a new trial under Rule 59A based on the alleged insufficiency of evidence and excessive damages. The rules we are applying in this case will be first for Rule 50B, judgment as a matter of law. And the judge can direct the verdict if the judge believes that there's no reasonable jury would find in favor of the non-movement party. Even though we evaluate all the evidence, if the non-movements favor it. So that's the rule 50B. And Rule 59A, motion for a new trial. This one is if the judge grant this motion, that must be erroneous outcome and serious erroneous outcome from the jury's verdict. And also the verdict is against the weight of the evidence. However, in this case, the analysis is because this verdict is based on the credibility assessment from the jury. It is inappropriate for the court to make the decision against this. We should provide the full respect to the jury. And then remainder. Remainder is when the judge feels that the damages are too excessive. So, and the judge can order remainder to reduce the damages. But if the opposing team does not agree with the reduction, and there probably a new trial. The standard of this remainder is the award shocks the judicial conscience. And partial new trial, this is the last rule mentioned in this case. Whether a partial new trial is applicable depending on whether the issue can be separated from the original complaint. If the original complaint had 3 issues and one of the issues needs to be partially for a new trial, and we're going to see whether the issue can be separated from the original complaint of the 3 issues. The reasoning, professor's favorite spot. So first of all, the court evaluate the Rule 50B. So whether judgment of matter of law is applicable. The defendant failed to move for JMOL at the close of evidence, but this one is old rule on the hostile work environment. So he waived the right to renew the motion post-trial. But the defendant do have the right for the JMOL for retaliation and failure to promote. They have the right, but it doesn't mean that the court will approve it or grant it. So the second role is if the jury's role and credibility determinations. So when we are talking about the retaliation claim, so the defendant has a lot of witness, expert witness to support that Trivedi did have some mental problem. And Trivedi did not provide too much evidence on that. But based on this, the jury still have the assessment based on their credibility. So it is not appropriate the court will get involved into the final decision. The court generally do not disturb verdicts and depend on witness credibility unless there is clear error. The third point discussed in this court will be the weight of evidence and new trial standard. Because the defendant filed to grant a motion of new trial, so this will be under Rule 59A. So the new trial will be granted only if the judge feels that the jury has an erroneous error in the verdict. And judge cannot order a new trial merely because she might have reached a different conclusion. So that's also the reason why the judge hesitated to issue a new trial in this case, because they want to respect the jury's verdict. And then the final solution the court figured out in this case will be a remainder. So because the damages are too high, outrageously too high. So and surprised the court's conscience. So the court reduced the $700,000 to a reasonable $50,000. And because the liability and damages were intertwined, so the separate new trial is not appropriate. The rationale for this case is, on the one side, the court wants to provide respect to the jury's verdict. That's the reason it is inappropriate to have a JMOL or a new trial. And also, the second reason why the JMOL or new trial are not appropriate because the entire court is based on the credibility-based verdicts. So the jury was evaluating the credibility to make the decision. And so it is inappropriate for the court to override the credibility assessment from the jury to make some other decisions. But the damages awards must be reasonable. In that case, the final solution from the court is to readjust the damages amount. The holding and disposition, JMOL are denied for failure to promote and retaliation claims. And new trial was also denied because verdict was supported by credibility determinations. But eventually the court applies remainder to reduce the damages from $700,000 to $50,000. But if the plaintiff refuses reduction, a new trial will commence. The key takeaways from this case would be renew JMOL under Rule 50B must have been made at close of evidence, otherwise waived. The new trial under Rule 59A not granted when the verdict rests on credibility. And remedial, the common law doctrine used when damages shock the conscious. And partial new trial only allowed when liability and damages are separable. And credibility control, that's the jury's domain. The judge cannot be weighed from the assessment of credibility. Lastly, we're going to talk about some bar exam tips. First of all, we need to talk about the post-trial motions operated under Rule 50 and 59. It shows the credibility determinations are virtually untouchable on post-trial review. That means the judge needs to respect the jury's verdict. But the judge has the power to remit the excessive amounts, excessive damages. If we compare the Pennsylvania Railroad Code versus Chamberlain, both cases test the limits of judicial intervention in jury verdicts. But Chamberlain involves pre-verdict JMOL, while Trivedi involves post-verdict JMOL and remedial. That's everything about this case. I hope you like this way to prepare for the cold call. I will see you in the next episode.